Please be seated. Wait, what's this one?
Yes, Mr. von Distinghausen.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam President, Your Honours. Before the break, we were talking about material harm. It lies, of course, in the brutal nature of the charged attacks on Kudum and Bendisi, that there was widespread burning and damage to the homes and belongings of its residents. Where property was not destroyed, it was looted, including crops, livestock, home furnishings, currency, gold, jewelry. To this day, none of the participating victims have been compensated for their immense material losses. Prosecution witness P0020 powerfully summed up what, in his view, was the impact of the 2003 to 2005 conflict on the members of his community. He stated, and I quote, "The conflict in West Darfur impacted the Fur community economically, socially, culturally, even emotionally and psychologically. The Fur community lost all its resources. Even the fields and the agricultural lands were destroyed. The people had to leave their regions, and they are still living in the IDP camps, and sometimes in camps outside the country. We will never be able to talk about their livelihoods. Their education institutions have been destroyed. Their businesses have been destroyed. It is the whole cycle of life that has been destroyed. They have nothing left." End of quote. This is trial transcript 41, pages 77 to 78. Given that all the participating victims have been subjected to and lost their current circumstances, and the almost 2 decades that have passed since the charged events in Kundum, Bendisi, Mokshar, and Telej, it is a very pertinent and, in our view, important question as to what exactly they expect from these proceedings, this court, and from Your Honours. I can offer at least a partial answer arising from the testimony of witnesses during the prosecution's case and from our consultations with the participating victims. The victims of the alleged crimes in these proceedings seek justice, accountability, and of course recognition on behalf of themselves, their families, and the wider Fur community. But also, as I addressed earlier, as a demonstration of the international community's commitment to stand against ongoing serious criminal and human rights violations, and as a measure guarding against repetition of the terrible and dehumanizing conduct and circumstances to which the participating victims have been subject. Tied to this, we heard many times from participating victims, is the strong belief that the process of justice is an essential component of seeking a resolution to the still ongoing instability and violence that plagues Darfur, and ultimately the possibility for them to return to their ancestral lands and their former lives, traditions, and communities. And that comes up over and over again, this wish to return to their lands. These views were powerfully expressed, and as I quoted from at the beginning of this opening statement, in the testimonies of dual status victims P0584, P0907, and P0986. The participating victims have emphasized to us the need for justice to take its course and the importance of the judicial process moving forward since the events of 2003 and 2004 that have so marked their lives. A victim of the Bindisi incident, for example, stated to me that for her, and I quote, "Justice means living with my dignity. If justice is made, my rights are back, and I go back to my hometown, live as before, my dignity will be restored, and this is justice for me." End of quote. A victim of the Kudum incident explained to me, and I quote, "If I get my rights back and justice is made, maybe I will live like a human being. If I get my rights, I will have freedom and live my life." End of quote. Another participating victim addressed me, and indeed, Your Honours, as follows, and I quote, "The legal representative of victims and the court generally is responsible for what we have been working on for so long. We have been advocating, complaining, looking for justice for 20 years. Now, all our work is in your hands. It is in yours." End of quote. To many of you, I'm afraid, especially those who read our trial brief submitted on the 31st of March of this year, some of this may sound redundant and also very similar from what you have heard from participating victims in other criminal trials. What we wish to emphasize, however, and urge Your Honours to keep in mind, is that these are the fundamental and solemn views and concerns of the participating victims in these proceedings, as expressed individually by them, and that they can therefore not be redundant by nature. Very often, when we speak about violations of international criminal and humanitarian law, we speak about macro criminality, and all those involved have traveled a path that is not only intertwined and reaches far back into the past, but at the edges of which there are also many spectators with completely different preconceptions. As a rule, major social issues are debated and history is invoked. There is agreement that the subject of the proceedings is always the responsibility of the perpetrator, not the investigation of a historical fact and the final judgment on it. So just as we focus on the individual criminal responsibility of the accused in this very trial, we must also be able to look at the individual impact and consequence for every participating victim, which will never be the same, independently of similar and repetitive cruel external circumstances. While a community may be impacted, we must be careful not to limit our understanding to notions of some kind of collective suffering. I therefore request Your Honours to take the time and to devote the necessary attention to individual accounts of victims and the concrete particularity of the individual experience, rather than to look at the victims participating in the present proceedings solely as a victims group or victims community. I would like to close this statement on behalf of the 600 participating victims in these proceedings with a few of the messages we have received from some of them in recent weeks. It is their voice and words that truly matter, and I accordingly give the floor to them. First, we have Mohammed. Of course, it's not his real name. Originally from Bindisi and around 70 years of age, he is a long-term refugee in Chad. I apologize, Your Honor. Sometimes technique doesn't work as we would wish it to work. So please, can I ask for some patience?
I'm noted for my patience, Miss von Wissinghausen, as you know. Miss von sorry. Miss von Wissinghausen, I gather that there is a technical problem, so although it was tested this morning, it won't play. I mean, do you want us to rise while they try and sort it out?
It's not working and it won't work, or it's just a question of patience?
It won't work, I think.
It won't work.
Unless I'm told. If you just, yeah, well, apparently they're going to try and check in the next minute and see what's happening.
And it would be unfortunate if it didn't work, because the purpose is of you to hear the voices of the participating victims rather than me reading on their behalf what they want to say.
I understand that.
I'm a resident of DC and I lost everything.
I was able to hear something.
In the name of God. I'm a resident of Bindisi locality. Since 2003 until now, we have been in great suffering.
From our
Yes, if you could
evidence
play it from the beginning, and the interpreters have the transcripts so that they can translate to English for us. So if we can play them, well, first the first, and then I'm introducing the second, and then the third. Thank you.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. I'm a resident of Bindisi locality.
Ms. Lachi?
What I hear in my earphone is certainly not a victim from Bindisi.
I can't tell because I don't understand.
I recognize the voice, and it's a voice that is very familiar to me, and the person is sitting in my back.
Oh, I apologize. This is, of course, not
That's
what
the
I'm
voice,
supposed to
that's
present
the
here.
voice of Mr. Abd Al Rahman that we are hearing.
Why are we hearing Mr. Abd Al Rahman's voice at all?
No, we're not supposed to hear his voice. We are supposed to hear the voice of victim A2067020. He's a man from Bindisi, and he has a message for your honors that he has sent for exactly that purpose. And we sent it to court management section, and we gave the transcription of the messages, all the messages we want to play, to the interpreters to make it easier for them.
I still didn't.
And to defense and prosecution. I mean, everybody received this well in advance.
T'es sûr que c'est la voix du client? Hein? T'es sûr que c'est la voix du client? Attends, le micro.
We did. Judge Alapini Gonsu says that it was clear that the first time we heard the voice, he spoke about Bindisi. I don't know why we've suddenly gone over to somebody else's. To
Exactly,
what
the first soundtrack was right.
Yeah. I actually think, Mr. von Wissinghausen, I understand why you want to play it, and I think the best thing is we'll rise while they try and sort out what's going on. Unless you want to go, unless you just want to go on.
If that's all right with you, because as I said, this is how we want to end this opening.
Microphone.
Well, if that's a possibility, yes, because this is how we want to end this opening, and it is very important for me that you hear these messages in live that have been sent to us for this very purpose. So if we can make it happen, it would be, I would be
yes,
very
all right.
grateful.
We'll rise while we try and sort out what actually is going on here. However, I given that I was told firmly that everything had been checked in this court last Friday, and that it was all working perfectly, it's a little disappointing. Yes, all right, we'll adjourn.
Rise, veuillez vous lever. Rise, veuillez vous lever. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Mr. Lachey, I'm told you unnecessarily confused matters. It wasn't your client's voice at all. Yes, now we're ready to try and play it.
Yes, now maybe to give context where these recordings come from. They obviously come from participating victims. It's actually small videos that they sent to us with a message to your honors. We're not playing the videos for obvious reasons, and so we have chosen just to play the messages so that you can only hear the voices of the participating victims. So as I had indicated before this little technical break, we first have a gentleman originally from Bindisi, around 70 years of age, and he's a long-term refugee in Chad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يعني من مواطنين محلية بندسي من 2003 ولحد الآن نعني.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I am a resident of Bindisi locality since 2003. Until now, we have been in a great suffering. I solicit from the judges of the ICC, by the permission of God, to perform justice for us. We are still suffering. Until now, we have no access to education. If somebody is sick, there is no health care, no food. The situation in the camps is really difficult. And what the NGOs offer is not enough, because it barely helps 10% of what we need. Therefore, we ask for justice to be done so we can get our rights back. We are the victims, inclusively, and people of Darfur in general. Thank you. Thanks to all of you who are working in the ICC, and we want you to achieve justice for us.
Next, we will hear from a participating victim who I will refer to as Idris. Like Mohammed, he's from Bindisi and a long-term refugee in Chad. He was a teenager at the time of the attack on Bindisi.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أنا من منطقة وادي سالي بالتحديد بندسي. قد كنت في منطقة بندسي وفقدت كل الأشياء و
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I am from Wadi Saleh area, specifically from Bindisi. I was in Bindisi area and I lost everything that I had. And I suffered a lot from fleeing from Bindisi to Mokshar and then to Delej. Afterwards, I took refuge in Chad. And now I am talking to the ICC. Of course, I can't give you all the details, but I can tell you briefly about what happened. We are suffering a great deal. We lost lives and everything that we owned. We lost everything that we had because of the war. I testify that we suffer, first from the lack of education. Secondly, we suffer from food shortages and living in very bad conditions. We also suffer from lack of healthcare treatment. The organizations provide only 5% of what we need, which doesn't cover everything that we need. We lost basic needs for survival. We are missing all the basic necessities of living. This video, which you are watching, was recorded while I am on a farm owned by somebody else. I came to find my livelihood due to the suffering we have been living in through the last 90 to 20 years in IDPs and refugee camps. That's the reason why I came to speak to the International Criminal Court to expedite the trial so that we can recover our rights. We are dear to our homeland, and our homeland is very dear to us, no matter what happens. I am dear to my homeland, and my homeland is better for me. Wherever I go, inevitably I should return to my homeland. Our solicitation to the court is justice only, because if justice is provided, we can recover our rights and the rights of all those affected. I'm speaking here in front of you on behalf of all of those who were affected. If the court achieves justice, we can go back to our homeland. This place is someone else's farm where we came to work and earn our living. As you can see, I am wearing tattered clothes now. We work on people's farms very, very hard. We thank you very much. We thank the victim representatives very much for providing this opportunity for us. I am very, very happy with the work that you did, and thank you.
Now, Ibrahim will address your honors. Ibrahim was originally from Kudum, and he was a young man at the time of the 15th August attack, 2003. Like Mohammed and Idris, Ibrahim is a long-term refugee in Chad as well.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من مشاركي المحكمة الجنائية.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I'm a participant victim in the International Criminal Court. Currently, I live as a refugee in Chad. I am originally from Kudum village. Before the conflict, I was living a dignified life in my village Kudum. We were working in farming, merchandising, cattle breeding, and our children used to go to school. We were also studying. However, after the conflict, we were exposed to hardship and very, very bad circumstances. After the conflict erupted, I was supposed to be among the dead, but God saved me. And actually, a lot of family members were killed, and others were displaced. Some of my family members were raped. Now, after so many efforts, I was able to resort to Chad Republic with my family. Being a refugee in Chad, we are facing a lot of problems in housing, food scarcity, health issues, and security. Our houses are built of straw, which could be burned down in seconds by one peg of match. We cannot afford to build sustainable houses to protect ourselves from the cold or the heat. The straw houses, we cannot protect ourselves from extreme cold in the winter, nor extreme heat in the summer. We have no mattresses. We sleep on the rug or on the soil. We cannot afford to buy sleeping materials. As for the living conditions, they are really very, very bad. Surviving is very difficult. The NGOs used to help us with rations, but they stopped helping us now. There are no factories or companies for us to go and work in so that we can afford to put food on the table and cover all our needs from living, education, and health expenses. Our fate now is so ambiguous. Education-wise, I have 8 children, 3 boys and 5 girls. Currently, 4 of our 8 left the education. 4 of our 8 children left the education due to lack of money to pay the fees, and the other 4 are still studying. However, those who are continuing, they will sooner or later stop because we don't have resources. And here there are no job opportunities. Even if we continue it and if they continue it and finish the high school, they will not have the ability to continue to university. Their fate is going to be the same as their siblings.
Next, Your Honours, we'll hear from a participating victim who I will refer to as Abdul. Abdul addresses you from an IDP camp in Darfur. He's an elderly gentleman and was a survivor of the alleged charged incident.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمري أربعة.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. I am 94 years old. I live in Kalma camp now. And as you can see, since we were forced to leave our homes, we are living in agony like this. We never eat enough and never drink enough water, except what white people bring. They give us a bit, and it's not enough. My message to the judges of the International Criminal Court is to examine what they did to us. They killed our people, forced us to leave, and they took over our land. We ask for justice to give us some relief. We are suffering now.
Now, Your Honours will be addressed by a gentleman who I will refer to as Siddiq. He was a survivor of the Mukjar charged incident. He's in his 60s and he's a long-term refugee in Chad.
أنا قاعد مبشتن مهان بقبل العلاج والأكل والشرب لا لاقي أي حاجة حتى
I have been humiliated and suffer from many problems: medical treatment, food scarcity, even our women and children. If any of them get sick, we cannot afford to cure them, and the food is unavailable. Please, please, I beg you to expedite our case, the case of Darfur, in order to resolve our problems and in order to enable me to recover my rights and my family's rights, and for all the people of Darfur regain their rights unanimously. Thank you. Peace be upon you. Note from the interpreter, can we just observe a pause, please? We're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but certainly not least, Kaltuma will have the honor of addressing the trial chamber. She is a long-term refugee in Chad, in her 40s, and she's an indirect victim of the Mukhtar charged incident, during which her brother is alleged to have been detained and killed.
وأنا متضررة في مشاكل وأنا هسي
I am a victim of the conflict. I live in a camp in Chad. I ask the court for justice. I am, since 2004 to this day, suffer in a camp in Chad. 19 years in the camp, suffering. I suffer from many issues, especially food scarcity, medical care, and access to education. We receive a little aid from organizations, but it's not enough. If our children get sick, we cannot afford to cure. The health care is very expensive. No money. We're not able to pay the education expenses. Our children are out of schools and they don't learn. This is a great suffering for us, our families, and all the people in Darfur. We ask for justice to be achieved. We are in the camp here. The situation is very, very difficult. There are no job opportunities for us so that we can have money to pay for our children's health care if they get sick. There is no money. The living conditions are very difficult. I ask the judges to resolve our case, to enable us to return to our homeland. No matter what, we shall return to our homeland, to live in our homeland with dignity, and for the people of Darfur and all our families to be relieved from suffering. We shall return to our homeland. It's been 19 years of continuous suffering, the same suffering since 2004 until the very day. The situation has been evolving from bad to worse, suffering within suffering, no change. We want the people of the court to look at our case in order to restore our rights, and we want peace and we want security. I pray that our Lord will return us to our homeland in peace. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
On behalf of the party, thank you.
You broke up there.
I just said, on behalf of the participating victims, I thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. von Wistinghausen. Is the witness ready? I'm told that he is. Yeah.
Yes, it just needs
To-
a
yeah.
little break to set up the video link.
Well, I gather it won't take more than a minute or so, so I think we'll just remain on the bench. Mr. von Wiesenthausen, I'm just inquiring whether the witness needs to make a solemn declaration. I don't think he does he? I'm open to advice on this one. Mr. Nichols?
He's a participating victim, he's not a witness.
Well, that's what I thought. So
there's no solemn undertaking.
Well, that's what I thought, yeah. No, thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, it's all a bit less formal. So, good afternoon, Mr. Hassan. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you. Yes, I do, yes.
It's very good to see you. I apologize for the delay.
No problem.
The opening has taken a bit longer than anticipated.
Yes.
So, maybe I'll just briefly introduce you to the judges, who hopefully you can well see on your screen. So you are Hassan Hassan, and you're appearing via video link from Canada, from Ottawa?
Yes, right? Canada, Ottawa, yes.
Very good. Mm-hmm. And we have spoken many times, and it was your decision to speak in public.
Absolutely.
Through your whole account.
Absolutely, yes.
And also to address your honors under your real name.
Absolutely, yes.
Therefore, I can also say that no closed session will be required unless anything very unexpected comes up. Mr. Hassan, I've told you many times, but I'm repeating that I'm asking you to speak slowly, about the same pace as I do right now. It is very important that every word you speak is understood by the judges, and that the interpreters who interpret to French and Arabic have the time to catch everything you're saying. So let's agree on that. And whenever you speak too quickly, I will stop you. This will mean no disrespect, but just to remind you to speak slowly. And also, if you can, because we have also agreed that I want to let you speak quite freely, and my questions will just be a way of guiding you, if necessary. Please try to pause after every 2 or 3 sentences to allow the interpreters to catch up. All right?
All right.
Okay. So maybe you want to introduce yourself now, with your name and where you come from, when you were born.
My name is Hassan Ibrahim Hussein Hassan. In Canada here, they go with first name and last name. So Hassan Hassan. I was born in Bindisi, in Wadisali locality, in Guinea. Right now, it's because government divided Darfur into 5 states. After I left Sudan, now my locality belongs to Zalinga state. Yes, I grew up in Bindisi. I grew up also in Kalmakam, in Uganda and Canada.
We will get to that.
Yeah.
In which year were you born?
I was born in 1994, January 1st. That's the date of birth. Yeah.
And you have a wife and a 4-year-old child, and both have
Indeed.
joined you in Canada only about 6 months ago. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
We're going to start to speak about your life before the attack in Bindisi. And I will ask you to first tell us if you have siblings and what your parents' occupation was and how was your day-to-day life before the attacks.
Right now, I'm too emotional. Talk about my beloved home.
That's all right. Take a pause. As we have discussed as well, you can ask for a break anytime. And if there is something you don't want to speak about or you don't feel the strength to speak about, we are the first ones who will understand that. Okay? So
Yes, absolutely. I would like to talk about my home. Darfur is a great land, beautiful place. And because of the beauty of my land, that's why we are dying. That's why we are suffering. That's why I came to Canada, a land where I never imagined in my life to come to. But I don't regret it. Going to the story of Darfur, my home village, Bindisi. You know, that's the place where I was born. I love it very much, no matter how it looked. And my parents were farmers. Darfurian people generally they are farmers, and that's the way how we inherited this culture of agriculture. My father basically, he used to plant watermelon, hot pepper, tomatoes. Yeah, that's what I knew so far about my father for the period of 9 years since I was born, until I lost him.
do you have siblings?
Yes, I do have. I have, from my mom, I have 8 siblings. We are same mother, same father, all of us. And also I have siblings from, from other from my aunts. I have like 3 aunts, right? right now. They're still alive, and one she has about 4 kids, and the other one has 2, and the other one she has about 5 or 4. I don't know. Yeah. So we are 18, with 18 to 17 people right now. Yeah, we're still alive, and some of them they're in Uganda. I have 2 sisters, and others they're in Chad. Others are still in Darfur. And there's some of them, 2 of them, they're in Egypt right now. And for us, we are here in Canada.
And tell me, Mr. Hassan, did you attend school at the time?
In Sudan, yes, I went to primary 1, primary 2. From there, when the war came, when we went to the Kalmakam, I went to primary 5. I did not study primary 3 and 4. I went to primary 5. That was in Sudan. Yeah.
And before the attacks on your home village, can you tell us a little bit of how life was as a child? How did you spend your free time? What were the activities of children? How was the atmosphere amongst neighbors?
Mean to say, like every home you go, you feel like it's your mother's home. I remember I used to go to my neighbors' houses. I eat food, and even our neighbors' kids, they used to come at home and eat food. I remember I could travel different distance, like 3 hours, 2 hours myself, without anybody. Come back. It's different than here in Canada, where you see kids, they go to school, their parents, they take them to school, and again, they bring them back home. I feel like these kids, they are kept in jails only just. But for us there, we had freedom. We should, sometimes at night we go and play called shell. So we play shell, we throw a battery, and then you cover your eyes with rope, and you run at night and you, search for this how do you call? And when you search, then you say shell, then people run after you, and yeah, we used to play different kind of games. So we had also mango trees, bindis there. And we used to go there and climb on mangoes, and we eat mangoes, we eat guava, we eat different kind of fruits there in Bindisi. Sometimes we used to go also, like to collect firewoods outside. I remember my father. Sometimes we had a donkey at home, and my father he would send me at night in the morning. I was 6 a.m. to go and collect to bring how do you call to food to the how do you call to our dog. To our donkey. And sometimes I used to go also with my mom to our garden, and we plant sorghum. Many things. I remember. I have very good memories. I have very good memories. There are many things I could say, but life was good. It was peaceful, and that foreign people are very loving people. Yeah, very loving people.
How does it go for the interpreters? Is it too fast or it's okay? Okay, I get a thumb up, so it's good, Mr. Hassan. Thank you. Can I ask you about specific traditions or celebrations that you remember? If you can describe those to us.
My favorite is circumcision. Sometimes, you see, like for us Muslims, we normally circumcise our children, boys normally. So and I remember in our village sometimes they will gather 5 to 6 or 2 or 3 kids, then they circumcise them. Then see people will gather together and share, bring things. Some people they will bring animals like cows, and others like mice and other things they bring together to share, contribute. If there's a death, also people they come together. In happiness and in sadness, people all come together to share, stand together. In Bindisi, we have different tribal groups, Masalit, For, Borgu, Erenga, and Tama people. And if there's any festival or anything, people, we go there and together and dance. I used to speak even Masalit language, but now I forgot. Yes. So I had very good memories there in Bindisi. And I still believe people still hold those sort of cultures.
And your father was a farmer. He was growing crops, and he owned land in South Bindisi. Is that correct?
Yeah, my father not only in South Bindis, but my father also he had lands in different places. My father, he was a teacher. He was well educated person. His friend is called Said Ahmed Drake. He passed away like 2 years ago. He was the governor of Darfur. And even I have my brother. His name is called Ahmed. He's the one who gave him this name. They used to go together when they were kids together. We say Ahmed Drake. My father was a well-educated person. As I said, my father, he spoke English, French, Arabic, and many languages. He was also a teacher. He went to Yemen. This is stories people used to tell us. Like, Sudanese people, a long time ago, they used to go to Arab countries. They used to teach them, in Arab in their countries in order to read and write. Sudanese people, they taught Arabs about life and about education and many things. Even my father was one of them. He went there and he came back. He spent like 5 years. Yeah. And even my brothers, they were not all born in Bindisi. They were born in other different localities of Central of Guinea. Because my father was teacher, and every time he will move to different places to teach. But for us, for me and my sister, Nahid and the other young ones, we were all born in Bindisi. Yeah.
I will move on now to more difficult times. And let's speak a little bit about the attack on Bindisi on the 15th and 16th of August in 2003. As you said, you were a child at the time, 9 years old, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Do you want to describe what you saw on that very day? And
yes.
Again, feel free to tell what you want to tell, but no obligation to go into matters that are too difficult to speak about. It's completely up to you.
At that time, I was like 9 years old. I don't know, basically, to be honest, I don't know which day it was, particularly when the war started. But I remember it was in 2003. But I asked my mom, I asked my brothers, and they tell me it was on between 15th to 16th. That's what they tell me. The day when the war started, before the second day before the war started, people they moved from Bindisi. Not all of them, but some families they moved from Bindisi, and my family was one of them. We went to in that time it was a wet season, and people planted. So we went to the bush. We stayed there for one night, and again when you came back, second day when you came back, I remember my uncle Abd Al Rahman, he passed away. He also passed away 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I don't know exactly. I don't remember. So he came from Kudum, and he informed people, all in these people, that there's a war in Kudum, and you should prepare if anything happened. So around 8 or 9 a.m. I remember how do you call government forces they came with their vehicles, land cruisers, the army. They were army. So and some of them, they were police. They mix, so they came with their vehicles, and they said that they want to collect what they call is it zakat or something like that. Every year they come and collect from people, and it was an unusual situation for many people. And they said, "Oh no, this is no situation of like you can come with your vehicles and you want everything. You say you want to collect how to call zakat from the people." And we knew that war it was going to erupt that time. So Bindisi, I remember like west part of Bindisi and the east side of Bindisi, it was surrounded by the militia, the Janjaweed militias. These are Arabs, tribal groups, and government gave them weapons to come and fight us. And the government convinced them that if you kill these people, we're gonna give you this land. We're gonna replace these people, and you take this land, this Arab land. That's what they used to fool them. That's what government they used to fool the Arabs people, despite we are all people and we are all Darfurians. So suddenly, then I was outside. I went to the like we had a sugarcane plantation. So there was a house close to mosque. My auntie's house. My auntie, she moved and she went to Zalinga, and we used to live. My father used to live in that house. So behind that, we have a backyard, and there was sugarcane plantation, and we used to play around that area. So for me, I went as my neighbor's my grandfather's son. His name is called also Hassan. So we went there inside. We were playing, and suddenly we heard gunshots. We stayed there inside, and after a few minutes, like 15, 16 minutes, we came outside. And when we came outside, we found dead bodies. Even my father was there also. For me, that time I was confused. I didn't know even what I can do. And they were Janjaweed with their horses and some land cruisers. They were standing there. They didn't say anything to us. They were just staying there, and houses were burning, and many people they ran away. So for us, they told us we have to leave, and we ran away from that place. We went. That time I was separated with my siblings and my mother. So we went to bush. We were just kids. We were just following people where they go. We had no even no plans where we can go. We were just following people randomly, and that is it. Yeah, but that time many people died. Many people died, and all the houses were burned in Bindisi. And Bindisi is a very very big city, very big city. Yeah.
You may think it's a bit of a strange question if I ask you what impact this had on you, what you saw on that day, and the burning of your village and having to flee with your mother and your siblings, the loss of your father. Do you want to talk about that?
Like kids, they don't know death. Seeing your father laying.
Sir, we'll give you a break if that helps, Mr. Hassan. But I think it's probably better from your point of view if you try and continue.
Yeah. As I said, kids they don't know death. If you bring 10-year-old or 8 years old and show him dead body, they don't know who is this person dead or sick. They don't know. Maybe they can think this person is sick, but they don't know what is dead. But for me, it was a horrible moment for me to see people dying and see something unusual happening to my village. It was horrible. Sometimes I feel I'm the one who did these things. It is something I cannot ever imagine that can happen to human beings, but suddenly happened. And it happened to many people like that. And I saw horrible things more than that thing, dead body of my own father. I saw horrible things happen to other people even.
Mr. Hassan, you then spent some time hiding with your family in the farmland and in the forest after fleeing Bindisi. Can you briefly describe what the situation was there for you, your family, and other people who had fled their villages?
Yes. as I said, we were heading before the war started. The day before the war started, we were heading in the bush there. So people they gathered together, like because Bindis is big, very big city. So depends on family. You will go with your neighbors. So with our neighbors, we went to the bush, and we had a fireplace. So we stayed all night there. The second day, then we came back in Bindisi. That time the war didn't start. The day before war started. So we were there inside. There was nothing happened. But the second day, when the war started, for me, I was separated with my family. I was not together with my family. I went. I was following just people, and we went to the a camp called, as I said, a camp called Imarjadit. Imarjadit means a new. It's Arabic term, so yeah, Imarjadit means like new development. So that place where it was a camp for the Janjaweed. It was between Amdohon and the Kabar. So that camp, it was all for the Janjaweed militias. All of them, they used to live there, even with their family. Some of them their family. We went there. For me, I was beaten. I have some, how do you call, scarves in my body right now. We were tortured a lot. We were shoot. We saw many things. Many things happened to us. For me, I did not die, but many people died there, and they used to use us like tools. We would go and collect firewoods and bring water, and yeah, they used to torture. But young people, they didn't torture us that much, but many young elder people, they used to torture them a lot. They killed many people, and for us, we escaped. For me, I escaped from that place, and again we came back to Bindisi. So there's an area called, if I could remember, it's called Hajjabal. So it's a mountainous area. So it's the south side of Bindisi. So we stayed there for 3 hours, and then they told us, okay, your family went to. I had to ask people, where's my mom, where my family. They told me many people, they went to Mugger. I didn't know even where Mugger is. So, but I followed people, and then we went to Mugger, and suddenly I found my mom there. Yeah, and I knew many people in Bindis there. I knew, and many people they knew me too. So they directed me where my mother was, and suddenly I met my mother.
So you, luckily.
Note from the interpreter. Can we ask the witness, please, to enunciate the names clearly and try and make his speech clear?
Yes, Mr. Hassan, I just got a message from the interpreters asking that you pronounce the names of the locations, if I understand correctly, a bit more clearly, and of course that you speak a bit more slowly, please.
All right. The name of the place, the camp, is called Imar Jadid. It means, in Arabic, it means a new development. Yes. It's a Janjaweed militia camp, very big.
How did you
Sorry?
actually manage to escape this camp?
For me, with my cousin, we were so young. So we, as I said, we didn't have no plans. Like for us, even if we want to run away, we didn't know where we can go. But the people whom we were, they used to help us. They used to direct us, and they knew us also. So, and we escaped with them. They're the ones who told us, please, let us run out from this place. Even some people from Janjaweed in that area, that place, they used to tell us, please, you have to escape. These people, they can kill you. Some people they have humanity. Some people, not all people. Some people, they have humanity, and they directed us how we can escape, and we escaped from that place.
And when you reunited with your mother and other family members in Mugjar, can you describe how that was and what the situation was like in Mugjar?
it was something normal because my mom, my family also they suffered a lot. Even for me, I suffered. Urinating, it was something normal, and yeah, that's what I could say. All people, even when we went in Mogar there, we had no place to sleep. We were just sleeping on the streets, like each and everybody. And some people they help us from a village called Kiraro. They help us and tell us, please come and stay at our house. So we went and stayed their home. And my grandfather, Muhammad Tahir, and my grandmother, Abu Mariam Kose, they used to live at how do you call it, at the house of the this man is called he's a how do you call local leader of the Mugger. His name is called I even forgot his name. Yeah, they used to live at their at his house there.
And eventually you returned from Mukshar to Bindisi. Is that right?
I returned, but that was after like when I spent like between 5 to 6 months in Mugger. There was a war in Sindo Mountain, and the government of Sudan, they used to bring army. They used to bring heavy army every 2 weeks or every week. They used to bring army with different weapons. When I say army, I'm saying Sudanese army. They used to bring Sudanese army from Kassala, from Darfur, from Kordofan. It's just same thing like what happened in South Sudan. They used to bring army from Sudanese army. They used to come and kill our people in Mogar there. And also the government, as I said, they used to use Arabs, tribal groups. They used to give them weapons. I remember even young kids, about 14 to 16 years of Arab kids, they used to give them weapons. Some of them, even they can't even carry a weapon very well. And they used to come and go Mogar, in Jabal Sindo to fight there in Sindo to fight movement, the arm movement. That time, even I was young, I didn't know even what's called arm movement. But when I grew up, I learned what there's something called arm movement, something in Darfur. That was when I was in Kalmakam. I've come to an understanding that there's something. There are people who are fighting, they're revolting for our land and our identity and our rights and our existence as a Darfurian people, as African people in our territory, in our lands, as indigenous people of the Darfur. So the government of Sudan, they not only committed crimes against us as a black people, but I can say they even committed crimes against Arabs. They use them like tools, and they many Arabs they died because of that. They became firewoods for the government of Sudan. The Sudanese government, I remember they used to iron our people in Mugger. They committed horrible crimes. The iron, the normal iron. Here in Canada we have electric one, but in Sudan there we don't have electric. In Khartoum maybe other place where there's electricity, but in Mugger, Bindis where I was, there wasn't electricity. They use firewoods. They use how do you call charcoal, and they used to iron our people. They used to skin people, and they used to put people inside the rooms, in a compact room. Then they bring how do you call a frying pan? In Arabic we call it sach. Then they put it inside the room. They bring how do you call charcoal. Then they pour charcoal on the frying pan, the big size like this. Then they will bring hot paper, and they put inside, and then they tie our people, 4 people, the youth especially. They just tie them. They put them in room 10 to 15 people. Then they close the room and they put a fire on that charcoal. And people they used to die like that. Many people die like that. Horrible thing. I want to say to the world, please, we need to stop this war as soon as possible. We need to stop this war as soon as possible. This is not about justice. This is not about bringing people
criminals to justice, to make them, prove them the criminals. No. This is about stopping the blood of the people, the life of the people. Every day, every now they killing people. What should we do? Do you want for us to go and fight to become criminal like it was also committed genocide in Darfur? Is that what you want? Is that what the world wants? Is that what ICC wants? To bring individuals who have killed thousands of people, to prove them they are guilty? What does that mean for me? It means nothing. What it means for me is to stop the war and the blood of people. To stop these people who supply weapons to these terrorist groups who want to displace us. And they can still continue to displace our people. Please, I'm begging you, we need to stop this war right now. Right now. Right now. This it's not about justice now. This is about human lives. It's about me being alive and you being alive. All of you here. This is not about bringing UN and world leaders to sit down in London or in America or in Canada or Australia or everywhere to sit down and just discuss about what's happening in Darfur. This is nonsense for me. It's nonsense. We need to intervene right now to stop the blood of people. Darfur people now, they lost hope of justice. They lost hope in ICC. They lost hope in everything. But for me, I didn't lose hope. And many people, they didn't lose hope. Please. The genocide is still happening right now in Sudan. Right now. And you know, there's war in Sudan every day. Open your WhatsApp, open your phones right now. You'll find people dying in Sudan. In Khartoum, in Kordofan. The same people.
Mr. Hassan, we will take a break now, okay?
Please, stop the war in Sudan.
Yeah,
we'll take a break so that you have the time to compose yourself, and then we will see how it goes. All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, what I was about to say, just that, Mr. Hassan. We'll take the break now. So, Mr. Hassan, there is going to be a break now. I know this is not easy for you, but you will finish what you're saying quicker if you can try and keep the emotions under a little bit of control. Yes, all right, we'll sit again at 4:25.
Rise, veuillez vous lever.